Hey guys, it's Ross going on the Space Coach today. I went into Foyles yesterday to pick up the Tipolev Tu-144 book. I didn't get it, but I did get this. I mean, they didn't have it in, but I still think it's too expensive. I got this and another book for about the same price. So, Legends of Flight, Douglas DC-9, and I don't have any books on the DC-9. This is by Wolfgang Borgmann. So there you just see black and white image there. And there's several other books in this series that I think it listed, like the A300, the 747, which they did have in stock, but I've got a bunch of books on the 747 already. The 757, the 737, obviously the DC-9 I have here. Also has other planes, like there's a bunch of LTU caravels looking very dapper. It does have a section on the competitors to the DC-9, such as the Caravel, the BAC 111, the 737. There is the 90s SAS livery. This looks like the Swiss Air livery of the 70s. Yeah, there is the Swiss Air livery of the 70s. There's one there as well. Who's that? Well, that's the old SAS livery. This one of Atlantis. So obviously it goes into the history and the development. There's hopefully we'll see it. There's a page that has basically got every single Douglas DC commercial model from the 1 through to the 10. There's a lovely one of Iberia, but they never operated that model of it. That's one of the shorter versions, which is the DC-910, but they only operated the 30. That's a nice one. USAF, US Air Force One over St. Louis. I've been to St. Louis, stood at the bottom of that arch. It was November 1992, Thanksgiving, just after Bill Clinton got elected. Me and my friends, we were travelling. We ended up going down to Little Rock in the end via Memphis, where we had some great barbecue ribs and we went to Graceland. There's a couple of SAS ones there. The older and the later liveries. Then just about the specifications. Then the DC-9 Super 80, which obviously was the MD-80. Now, I've always loved the Austrian livery. In fact, I think it's better than the ones they had afterwards. Still very modern. They could use it today and it would look very contemporary. I also really loved that Swiss Air livery with the two-tone brown stripes. And there are several. You can see this must be an MD-80 because it's the flattened tail cone rather than the round pointy one. But you've got SAS, Finnair, Austrian and Swiss Air. SAS, but also some of the cockpit. There's an image of a Delta, that's a drawing, so I suspect that might be for like the MD-90 or something. There is the 717 as the MD-95 became known as. Still a bunch of them flying, but they're starting to get pulled out of service. There's the 717 again, and there's the interior. I've flown on the 717 actually. First time I went to Australia in 2004. Qantas had just launched Jetstar, and I flew from Sydney to Melbourne to meet my cousins, and it was a Jetstar 717. I wish I'd bought a model of it, but I don't know if they had any for sale on the plane. Like when I got the Virgin Australia 737 on my second trip to Australia the following year. So they have Continental, ATI, which clearly from the livery is an Alitalia subsidiary. Now we see the DC-9 in service with various airlines listed here, and the airline colours there. So what's that? Aerotransport Italiani. Now that might be the airline where one of them was shot down over the sea near Italy. I think, I'm not certain. Delta and Air Tran. If it's Air Tran, then that should be a 717. Yes, because they changed their name, but they had that terrible crash in the Florida Everglades, and they basically got taken over, renamed, shut down. There is another one of that beautiful Austrian livery. I picked up an Austrian DC-9 on Thursday with the other planes that I got, but the tail isn't right. It has 3 red stripes on it instead of 2. Bel-Air. They also had DC-10s and A310s that they operated. It was a charter subsidiary of Swissair. But Bel-Air, the name, is one of the early names in Swiss aviation. One of the early Swiss airlines. Then it's airline Blue One with a standard cockpit, and then various, I think, special schemes that they had as well. I don't remember ever seeing any photos of any of these. So I don't know, maybe it wasn't fully implemented, that scheme. British Midland. Never flew on one of their DC-9s, but I did fly on one of their Fokker 70s and one of the 737s. That was to Prague and back. The Fokker 70 was up to Teesside Airport and back. There's Crossair. And I remember when they had one of them painted in the McDonald's colours. I assume they probably served McDonald's on board as well. And it was Crossair that took over Swissair when it went bankrupt in 2001. There is an absolutely glorious shot there. That's beautiful. Delta and other Delta planes, 727 and a TriStar, as well as a DC-9 there. So that is their current livery. And here is the entire Finnair fleet of all the planes that had operated up to that point. So you see the DC-10, the Caravelle, the DC-8, the DC-9, I forget if this is like an ATR-42 or a Fokker 50, and then the older planes back to their formation. And there it is there. Yep, there is a DC-3 there with the 717. Always thought that was such an attractive livery. The replacement livery they've got now is just so boring and uninspired, but this is beautiful. It worked on every plane they had, every type. And there is Qantas Link 717, because they're no longer in the Jetstar colours. They just operated that until they got their A320s. But yes, these are starting to be pulled out of service now and replaced by the Airbus A220. Spanner and SAS. Turkish Airlines, the old livery of Turkhava Yolari, which looked so great on the DC-10 and A310, absolute classic livery. And the other one is Volotea. I'm not sure why these are in here, but there is a segment on the competitors, as I said, various versions of the 737s. That would have been, what do they call that now? The next generation ones? Like the 600, 700, 800? Oh, yes. 600, 700, 800. Yeah, here's the competitors here. So there you see a Caravelle SAS. A Back 111 and a 737-200, both of Sabina. Let's bit here about the last ones that are still flying now. I mean, Delta still has a huge fleet of MD-90s, and I think it still flies a bunch of the MD-80s as well. There's one that they use as a vomit comet. Kalita, which is a cargo airline, Kalita Charter, I think this is. So there'll still be a bunch of the freighters flying. Then skydive. So people jumping out the rear stairs there, skydiving. And there is doing a very low flyby. So they're all doing their DB Cooper impersonations there. And here we have a very colourful one. Who is it? DAT, D-A-T. That's their full livery, which is very bright. Kind of reminds me of the Expo Emirates A380 and all the different colours it has. But that is the end. So yes, here are some of the other ones that they have. Yeah. So the 737, the A300, 310, 757 and the DC-10/MD-11. And there's also a 747 in this range as well that I saw. So in due course I may collect them as and when they're in stock. But for now, that is The Legends of Flight, the Douglas DC-9 by Wolfgang Borgmann. I hope you enjoyed. Please subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed this content. Leave me a comment or suggestion for an upcoming topic you'd like to see discussed. Or like the video.